Do you know? Often the loudest thing inside a house can be silence. We spent exactly 42 years in our white painted house with a large garden in Connecticut. I knew our neighbors always looked at us with envy. Robert and Sarah, they would say. What a compatible couple. In 42 years, our voices were never raised enough for the neighbors to hear even once. Smashing a plate against the wall, or slamming the door and disappearing into the darkness of the night. Never. But life becomes a meal consumed so slowly that when I reached the age of 84, when I was left alone in this small and humble apartment in Florida, I understood that that silence was not actually a shield protecting us, but an ivy slowly strangling us. Everyone thinks divorces come at the end of a betrayal, with storms that cannot be weathered or with a great disaster. My story didn't happen like that. Ours started slowly and unnoticed, like moisture accumulating on the glass on a winter morning. We gave 40 years to the same roof, the same pillow, the same breakfast table with Sarah. But actually, we spent 20 years as two strangers, two roommates. The day I stopped wondering when the woman next to me last truly laughed, which dream she last gave up on, or why she looked at the ceiling for so long at night, we were actually divorced. It just took 20 years for the court papers to arrive. Inside that American dream that looked perfect from the outside, no one saw how much we consumed each other. Do you know what the worst part is? It was that we didn't see each other enough to even find it worth fighting. We didn't even have the courage to look into each other's eyes and say, "I don't know you anymore." Instead, we turned up the volume of the television a little more at dinners, focused more on Sunday football games, and played that fake, polished happiness game for our children at Thanksgiving dinners. Now, in this silent room, the only thing echoing is the weight of questions not asked and words not spoken on time. If you can no longer see even a storm in your spouse's eyes, know that that place has already frozen over, and sometimes a lifetime is not enough for that ice to melt. Towards the end of the 1970s, we slipped through the endless cornfields of Illinois and reached for these glittering lights of Chicago. That was when everything actually started. The world seemed to be in the palms of our hands, and I believed with all my heart in everything that shiny packaged parcel called the American Dream promised us. Everything seemed possible to us. When we got married to Sarah, we had only a few dollars in our pockets and our belief in each other. I had started working at an advertising agency. I was that ambitious young man in an ironed shirt, going down to the city on that gray train every morning to climb the ladder. In those years, we were taught only one rule: get more, buy a bigger house, drive a more expensive car, and send your children to the best colleges. This was the formula for success. I had an unshakable belief that if I worked hard enough and got that promotion, if we owned one of those houses with fences in the suburbs, happiness would come by itself. Sarah was a kindergarten teacher at that time. I remember when she wanted to tell me about her day when I came home in the evenings. She would talk about the pictures the children drew or the roses she wanted to plant in the garden. As for me, I would constantly fill my mind with the next meeting, the next budget plan, or what the rival agency was doing. I would listen to her, but I wouldn't actually hear her. "That's great, honey," I would say without taking my eyes off my newspaper or briefcase. I was too young to realize that this was neglect back then. I was just fulfilling the duty taught to me. I was looking after my family, paying the bills, and building our future. On Sundays after church, everyone would come together for a barbecue with the whole neighborhood. Everyone would tell how much they earned, which sports cup their children won, as if they were in a secret race. We were at the forefront of that race. The thing that blinded me enough not to notice that the sparkle in Sarah's eyes was slowly fading and being replaced by a polite emptiness was the ambition for success. One day when she turned to me and said, "Robert, sometimes I feel like a piece of furniture in this house," I thought this was just a sign of fatigue and promised her that famous Florida vacation. My arrogant belief that I could solve problems with money or a new item was the first brick of the wall built between us. 42 years later, when I hit that wall, I would understand that. While I was building a future, I had actually trapped the present time, that is, U.S., in a room with walls I built silently. Ignoring how our hearts were starving to death, inside those perfect photos where everything was complete, was my greatest success in those days. I can never forget that Tuesday evening when we left 40 years behind. There was a typical New England cold outside. The wind was hitting the branches of the old oak trees in the garden against our window. I, as usual, was immersed in stock market news on television with a glass of whiskey in my hand. Sarah was in the kitchen, loading the dishwasher. Those routine clicks were like the background music of our lives. Then suddenly, the sounds stopped. Sarah entered the room. She had a blue folder in her hand. She left it on the coffee table in front of me, right on top of my stock market magazines. There was neither anger nor hatred on her face, only a deep, endless fatigue. "Robert," she said. Her voice was so low that I had to turn down the volume of the television to hear. "I am leaving." At first I thought she was joking. "Where to, Sarah? To the market at this hour?" I asked with a slight smile. I will never forget that look she gave me. At that moment, I felt all the joy inside me freeze. Her eyes were passing right through me as if I wasn't there. "I left 10 years ago, Robert," she said. "You just didn't notice. I waited for the children to finish university. I waited for Emily's wedding. I waited for the house mortgage to end. But I have nothing left to wait for anymore." At that moment, boiling waters poured down my brain. "What do you mean?" I said. "We never fought. We were always compatible. We were an exemplary couple to people." She just shook her head. "That is exactly where the tragedy is, Robert," she said. "We didn't fight because we didn't even care about each other enough to change anything anymore. Silence was not peace. It was giving up." That blue folder was a divorce petition. My 42 years of labor, our Sunday barbecues, our Christmas mornings, those luxury vacations were all inside that thin folder. I tried to remind her of everything we had, our money in the bank, this magnificent house in Connecticut, our retirement plans in Florida. Sarah looked at me with pity and said, "You can own the whole world, Robert, but if no one lives in it, that world is just a cold rock." She left that house that night. She didn't slam the door and leave. She didn't shout. She just quietly took her suitcase and left. At the end of 42 years, when I was left alone inside my massive house, I understood. The biggest crises came not with screams, but with whispers and a closing silent door. I couldn't even form a single sentence to stop her because I realized at that moment that I actually had nothing left to say about her. When that door closed that night, the silence spreading to every corner of that 5-room house in Connecticut was the loudest thing I had ever heard in my life. For the first few weeks, I tried to convince myself that this was a temporary whim. I was saying to myself, Sarah will miss that comfort, that safe harbor after a while and return. After all, we were Robert and Sarah. We couldn't fail. But when months turned into years and the signatures on those court papers dried, I had to face the harshest enlightenment of my life. Everything I built for 40 years, that glittering career of mine, bank accounts, and my respectability in society, turned out to be just models. Fancy on the outside, but hollow on the inside. When I moved to that sunny apartment in Florida where we made our retirement plans, I had not Sarah with me, but only a closet full of expensive suits and a few antique items. Inside that luxury complex, while talking to other old men sitting by the pool, I realized that most of us had made the same mistake. We forgot to protect the fortress at home while trying to conquer the world. Do you know what was the most painful part? It was my children's reaction after Sarah's departure, when my daughter Emily came to me and said, "I'm not surprised, Dad. Mom lived like a ghost in that house for years." I felt as if I was stabbed in the heart. Even they had seen it. Even they had heard the scream inside that silence, only I hadn't heard it. The biggest truth I learned in that period of my life was this: busyness is the greatest drug. If you don't want to fix something, you bury yourself in work, hobbies, or television. I used this drug for 40 years. Instead of talking to Sarah, sharing her fears, or just holding her hand and sitting quietly, I always thought about the next project, the next investment. Now, in this sterile apartment, while eating my frozen dinners heating in the microwave, I understand how small that great success is. Success turned out to be having someone who really wants to talk to you, laughs with you, and grows old with you when evening comes. When I look back, I look at the lights leaking from the windows of those big houses, and I wonder how many are silently losing each other like us. How many are sitting in the same room but actually living miles apart. Real poverty was not the money in the bank running out. Real poverty was consuming a life without touching the soul of the person you shared that life with even once. The reason I am telling you this story is that I don't want you to fall into that glittering pit I fell into. You are maybe in your 30s now, maybe in your 40s, while climbing the steps of that big company, while looking at your reflection in the window of the train you board every morning, you tell yourself that you do everything for your family. You also believe in that poisonous sweet lie of the American dream. But remember, what awaits you at the end of that dream, if you are not careful, will be that empty house in Connecticut or this silent apartment in Florida. Today, when you go home, when you enter that door, stop before reaching for the television remote. Put your phone aside, sit next to your spouse, and don't just ask how their day was. Look into their eyes and try to see that young woman or man who is still waiting for you there. Don't leave her there. Do not let that silence turn into a habit, and that habit into giving up. Because don't be afraid of fighting, son. What you should really be afraid of is not caring about each other enough to even fight anymore. Storms pass, but a frozen sea does not melt easily. The only true wisdom I extracted from this long and tiring journey of 84 years is this: life is not the sum of the victories you won, but the presence of people who truly laugh with you at dinner. If only plate sounds are heard at that table, even if you are the richest man in the world, you have actually already gone bankrupt. Now, while you still have time, break down that wall, extend that hand, apologize, or ask that difficult question. Make her feel that you are still there, that you still see her. Otherwise, one day you will become a ghost speaking only with echoes and memories like me. And then all those successes in your hand pour through your fingers like grains of sand in your palm. Please, do not wait to be 80 years old like me to understand. Life is too short to be postponed and too precious to be abandoned to silence. While writing your own final records, leave a story to the world where the word "if only" is not mentioned. One day when you look back, let what you see be lived memories, not empty rooms. Goodbye, and please enter through that door as another man this evening, because the person behind that door is your greatest success.